This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Kicking off hour 2 here of Money Moves. This segment presented by Upside. Download the free Upside app today and earn real cash back every time you fill up your gas tank. Plus, right now, when you download the app, use the promo code SPORTS. You get 25 cents back per gallon on your first tank as well. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. You miss any of the show ever? Remember, you can always download Money Moves wherever you get your podcasts as well, so you can listen on your own time. We got a jam-packed book behind us as conference tournament action across the country is going on, including here in Las Vegas. One game that's about to tip off, UNLV and Utah State going head-to-head. See if UNLV can get the 3-peat. We previewed this game last segment, but just for anybody who missed it, felt like the 8.5 was maybe a little too much in favor of Utah State?
Yeah, I'll take a piece of UNLV here.
Okay.
I'll get that in. We'll see if we can get a sweat going.
Auburn, Tennessee also set to go head-to-head. A big one for Auburn in terms of their bubble chances. We'll see what that looks like. They're getting 5.5 points against Tennessee in that one. And then Arizona, a huge favorite, up to 16.5 currently against UCF.
Worth mentioning, we are final. Speaking of Auburn and the SEC, Kentucky gets the win 78-72. We go over the total, and Kentucky covers. So there were some points spread shenanigans there, but another one of these teams on the bubble that takes a loss. I don't know how damaging that'll be for Missouri, but just worth pointing out that some have them strictly on the bubble, and that is a season ender, obviously, here in the SEC tournament second round.
I, meanwhile, am sweating out Seton Hall minus 2.5 in the Big East tournament against Creighton. They are down 1 right now, but it's still very early. We're only midway through the first half, so we'll keep tabs on that and all of the college hoops that are going on throughout the course of the next hour. We'll also break down both the NBA and NHL cards for the day. VSiN's own Jensen Lewis is going to join the program in about a half an hour, talk through the World Baseball Classic, some of his best bets as well.
Talking about Mark DeRosa?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should.
He denied it. Erroneous
he misspoke,
on all accounts.
But then admitted a miscalculation. So which is it, Mark? That said, we're going to start in the National Football League because it's been a massive topic of conversation for the last 48 hours plus now with what's been going on with the Baltimore Ravens backing out of the Max Crosby deal, ultimately signing Trey Hendrickson to a 4-year deal. Yesterday, Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta was out in front of media, getting asked a lot of questions about what happened. Here is him when being asked about the buyer's remorse claims coming his way.
I mean, I understand it. I understand it. We live in that age of skepticism and people question, especially people that don't really know me or know the Ravens culture and the Ravens organization. So I understand it. As I said at the beginning, we've got a responsibility. I've got a responsibility to the Ravens, to this community, to our fans, and to Steve Bisciotti to do what we think is best for the club. And that's what we always try to do. Every decision we make is based on this idea. Is this the best thing for the Ravens? It's very, very challenging. Again, I understand how people might maybe from afar would feel that way, but nobody's more upset about this than me. Gutted by it, actually. And so a big regret for me. But we will move on as a football team. And I think there's many, many opportunities for us to grow as a team, to become a better team, to build a roster, and to be the team that we want to be.
Gutted.
We don't need to do this. It's football. We don't have to invoke the community and talk about it. Actually, you know what? I'm gutted. I'm not even just sad. Look, you didn't like the physical. Who cares? We don't have to go too deep about what's going on here. Whether you want to believe him or not, there's, I think, a valid reason if you didn't like it. If you looked at it and saw some of the reports that came out, they saw bone on bone, didn't like the long-term prospects of it. Not the issues for year 1 and 2, but year 3 and 4. If you're talking about a dude that might be playing on a knee that has no cartilage left or anything like that, then yeah, I can understand that you want to be somewhat squeamish about the investment, especially when you're talking about overall, if what they're saying is true. Yeah. Investing in signing Trey Hendrickson and also spending 2 first-round picks to go and get Max Crosby, it's a heavy price to pay for a guy that you think might not be fully available in 2 of the 4 years that you're going to have him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you could see, and all these physicals, as we've talked about all week, are very subjective. You could see a doctor looking at those scans and saying, I don't know if you want to do this for 2 first-round picks when we're looking at year 3, 4 of this contract down the line. All of the reports that we've seen from all the insiders is that for Crosby, like, with him coming back this first year, like, all expectations are for him to still be his normal self. And listen, I don't have the scans, couldn't read a medical scan if I could, and one was sitting right in front of me, and like neither of us.
I mean, if the injury was extreme enough, I feel like you could. If broken bones are pretty easy to read.
Was it Barstool that posted the one of like
yeah.
saying the scans is like Crosby's foot's over here and the shins over here?
So you could read that one.
But like none of us like layman's people know how to project ultimately long-term what this is going to look like. That said, another thing he was asked about was the concerns about Baltimore's reputation moving forward, backing out of a deal of this magnitude.
Well, it hasn't stopped my phone from ringing. I'll tell you that. I think our relationship with agents and with other teams is really, really good. I understand the question. I think that GMs understand the importance of getting as much information as possible before making decisions. And I would say that most agents would say that myself, George, Nick, Mark Acevedo, Ozzy, Sashi, everybody that works with agents would say that we're a class organization that does business the right way, respectful, and willing to get deals done.
I mean, they landed Trey Hendrickson after it, so.
Well, apparently they were on the phone with him while Max Crosby was in the building.
Yeah, it's according to Rossini, right? Deanna Rossini had a report that she did that.
And that's something that DaCosta discussed a little bit too at one point, saying that his thought process was to get Crosby and Trey Hendrickson both ultimately, which seems a little sus to me.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I also think that when you're looking at this, the standpoint of bringing him in, the timeline has always been kind of weird to me when you looked at everything that happened. But in terms of agents being somewhat squeamish of dealing with them, I think they're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not like this was insanely underhanded. Teams have canceled deals all the time when it comes to injuries. So I think they're fine.
That's actually something else I was going to bring up, because I feel like a lot of people, at least outwardly, have been hypercritical of the calendar and allowing this legal tampering negotiation window, whatever you want to call it, thing in the 48 hours ahead of the actual new league year beginning, and that these deals do come out so publicly in that time. Mm-hmm. But if this deal was done even after Wednesday, it would still be pending a physical. So it's not like that would change hypothetically.
Right. Yeah. I think it's all to do not about nothing, but look, the Raiders get screwed over, and the other side of this is whether or not Crosby is going to be on. Yep. Everybody seems to think that he's sticking around. I'm willing to bet that he will be playing his first snap in 2026.
Even with the tweet?
Yes, even with the tweet.
Everything happens for a reason. Believe nothing you hear and half of what you see. I'm a Raider. I'm back. Run that, bleep.
What kind of a life would that really be if you only believed half of what you saw and none of what you heard?
Lackluster.
I mean, that or just you're just filled with, I guess, conspiracy theorists. That's probably what that life is like for the most part.
Yeah.
Although everybody's perception is different, Stormy. You don't know what I'm seeing right now, although you think you do. I will say that.
I mean, you think I'm a cyborg. You're big in the.
Not a cyborg. I've said this a lot, but I'm probably the only real human, and everything else is the Matrix.
This is all a simulation.
Yeah, it's all a simulation. Who knows? Maybe I just think I'm a real human. Either way, look, the Raiders said that they plan on having him on the roster.
Yep.
You know when they said that also? Before they traded him. So you don't. I'll take Max Crosby's own words, actually. I will believe nothing I hear, and I will only believe half of what I see, except for what he says it, right? He's not going to be a Raider. I'll call my shot right now. Play it back when he plays the first game with them. He is going to get traded.
We have seen some odds movement at the top of the board for the Super Bowl this year. The Rams now stand alone as your favorite at plus 750. Seattle, Buffalo, and Baltimore all 9-1 shots, tied for the second shot on the board. We also got some more news about Kyler Murray, released as expected by the Cardinals yesterday. Vikings considered now to be overwhelming favorites ultimately to land him. He is meeting with the team today, looking to pair a vet with their young quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. But from a short-term deal, low cost, whatever, any of these quarterbacks that are available on that, you don't mind bringing them into your room. But this is also a signal, and we've talked about this a few times on the show, that it feels like, at least in my opinion, and I know Mike Palm echoed these thoughts last week on the show, feels like they're out on J.J. McCarthy at this point. And if you're bringing in a veteran to be a good influence on your young quarterback, that's not what this is. You don't bring Kyler Murray in to be that for your player.
Wait a minute. Why not?
Come on. I'm not going to take the low-hanging fruit with this.
That sounds very presumptive about Kyler Murray's character.
Not his character, but I'm just saying.
Are you going to make a Call of Duty joke?
What has been? That's why I said I'm not going to take it. What has been?
That was like 6 years ago.
No. Just in general, what has been publicly reported about his attitude?
I will say that I think I think you can still do both. I think Kyler Murray could probably serve as some type of veteran. I just think this is an Anthony Richardson situation developing pretty quickly, where you have a team and a coach who believes that they have a group that can potentially compete at a much higher level, and you feel like you don't have the time to develop the quarterback that you spent assets to go and get, not only the first-round pick, but trading up to go and get him as well. This looks like a pretty big mistake in the sense of, again, you're going to give up. If you bring in Murray and he wins the job and all of a sudden you're an 11-win team and he's actually pretty adequate in your offense, it's the same thing we talked about Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts. What do you do? What is the answer to this situation you put yourself in? And the Colts, wrong way, I think, as we talked about yesterday, spending $50 million on Daniel Jones. Yeah. And now what are you going to do here if you're Minnesota? But we will see. Maybe they won't give up on J.J. McCarthy.
I mean, I don't think, at least based on what we have seen to this point, that J.J. McCarthy is the answer. Obviously, we didn't get to see any of his rookie year. He had multiple injuries last year that held him back to just 10 games.
I can't believe you can doubt 9.
And even when he was on the field, it was Mr. Jekyll, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde with what we saw from him each week. And 11 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 57% completions for the year. Warren Sharp had some of those underlying stats to look at. Of the 36 quarterbacks who started NFL games last year, he ranked 35th in passer rating and touchdown interception ratio, accuracy, completion rate, EPA per pass, and 36th in third down conversion rate and sack and interception rate. That's not good last time I checked.
Who wrote Jekyll and Hyde?
I don't know who.
Robert Louis Stevenson, I believe. Is that the name? It might be reversing middle and last.
You're bragging to me a lot about how much
I made a Shakespeare reference to you. I did it. Thank you very much. I made a Shakespeare reference to you in our group chat earlier today, too.
Yep, didn't get it. But I understood the context, and I think that's what matters. Reminder, everybody, saving money on gas is easier than ever with the free Upside app right now. When you hop in your car, download the app, check nearby offers, and earn cash back every time you're filling up the tank. Plus, promo code SPORTS will get you an extra 25 cents back per gallon on that first fill up. Take seconds to use. You can cash out anytime, your bank account or gift cards. Download Upside today. Promo code SPORTS. Offers vary by user and location. Upside.com for details.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
Watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, rolling along here. Thursday edition of Money Moves, live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Busy day here on the program. Lots to get into. Obviously, we've got full card of NBA and NHL, conference tournament action going on all over the country. I'm still holding on hope for, and we're back up now. It's amazing the swings that we have in these games. Seton Hall currently up 33-24 right now, about a minute and a half to go in the first half of that quarterfinal in the Big East. Lots of interesting stuff going on. Are we underway officially yet?
What's that?
For Auburn, Tennessee?
No, 12:25 will be tip-off for that. So that's been pushed back a little bit. We'll be out there. I will say it's worth bringing up. Coming up here at the very end of top of the next hour, 1 p.m. Pacific time tip. Akron taking on Buffalo. Yeah. Now, we do have Toledo and Bowling Green going on right now in the MAC, but why this matters, of course, is we saw Miami, Ohio get eliminated. Akron, at the beginning of the tournament, was the odds-on favorite. But dare we see the favorite fall. They are a 12.5 or 13-point favorite. Total has been bet down. This is the big story, from 164 down to 158.5. We've seen Buffalo be plucky at times. They've covered some numbers. They've pushed some opponents like Miami, Ohio throughout the regular season. Against this Akron team, though, not so much. They lost 82-63 at home to Akron earlier in the year. Then they went out there and lost 99-85. This Akron offense has been very good, and Buffalo has had a very big issue with it. Would expect that the Buffalo is probably going to be up against it in terms of covering this number, although this is a little off from some of the projections. Akron projected to win by about 11. Market's pretty high here.
I still am in a little bit of shock, at least, that the thing everybody was talking about potentially happening with Miami of Ohio ultimately happens. Yeah. In that game against UMass earlier today.
They lost.
7.5-point favorite. You lose after 3 straight close calls to end the regular season. You got that undefeated regular season. Their head coach has talked a lot about how the fact that they won all of those games should be enough, and we'll see ultimately if it is. UNLV, Utah State is underway over there at the Thomas and Mack. UNLV up 1 right now, 6-5. Not a lot of scoring action here early.
No, I mean, the first game kind of started disjointed. The last game, I should say, started a little bit disjointed and then really took off from there, and we know what happened. So I don't know if they'll get that right away, but you got to make some adjustments. I mean, UNLV was destroying Utah State defensively, and it looks like they're starting to send some doubles at these guys like Hamilton and others. So we'll see what UNLV does to get out of this. But like you said, 11 points in the first 5 minutes of this game.
Midway through the first half in Charlotte as well, Louisville up 20-15, closed a 1.5-point favorite over Miami. So we'll keep tabs on it all as we go. Did want to get into a little bit of the NBA card today because we talked already a little bit about some of those tanking teams and maybe putting together the parlay. I did one today, but as we joked about, 5 legs pays out even money, but it's just been a fun thing to do, and it's been profitable to this point. There are a couple pretty interesting games, though, that I think all eyes will be on in Nuggets, Spurs, and Celtics Thunder. I know you will be among those people.
Well, truthfully, probably not, because I'm going to be out watching college basketball.
Do not act like you don't sit there, even when you're in like the press area, having another game up on your computer.
I have games up on the laptop for sure. I mean, who doesn't when you're covering games like that? I think you're right. Obviously, the Nuggets game is going to be one that a lot of people are going to have their eye on, mainly because of the actual matchup. Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic. Will these two teams have a meeting in the postseason is going to be something worth mentioning. The question will just be, will Victor Wembanyama play? He is questionable tonight. And one of the losses, the only loss from yesterday, was that Rockets game. It was a really good performance from Denver. And go out there and absolutely pace the Rockets. It was a little touch and go initially, but Houston had absolutely nothing to show for it here. This is all going to be about whether or not Victor Wembanyama plays. And keep in mind, obviously, remember, we only got 3 games for Victor Wembanyama to miss, and then he's ineligible. So this questionable tag does loom large over this matchup because if he can't play, obviously that's one that you can't get out there for. I have this stupid all-NBA first team that we need him to get. There's the Defensive Player of the Year race. I feel conflicted because if Wembanyama doesn't play, that means my Rudy Gobert has a little bit of a shot to get there for Defensive Player of the Year. Also lose out on the all-first team. But I think that's really all you're watching for, right, is whether or not he's going to play. And we might get the return of Aaron Gordon. And this might be it, Stormy. I've said 1,000 times over that Denver could still be competitive if they're healthy. And if Aaron Gordon's back, Jamal Murray is back, and Peyton Watson eventually will be back, this team might be pretty dangerous still, although they're kind of swooning a little bit and playing some okay basketball right now.
San Antonio, 4.5, that number at home, total 240.5. Boston, meanwhile, getting 7.5 points in OKC, taking on the Thunder, total 216.5 in that one.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be a big litmus test, too, for Boston, obviously, because we don't know exactly what they are when you're talking about the addition of Jason Tatum, how they're going to compete with some of these teams. Now, Tatum is out today, so that's going to be something worth mentioning, why this number is as big as it is. Derek White is questionable, too. So those are 2 big names. Obviously, if White's not going to be available, Celtics are going to be pretty shorthanded here. For Oklahoma City, all the usual names that won't be out there. Isaiah Hartenstein has missed time. Jalen Williams has missed time. Both are going to be out. Oklahoma City is so good defensively that a shorthanded team like Boston is not going to have Derek White, is not going to have Tatum. They're going to have so many bodies to send to Jaylen Brown. He might get ejected again in the second quarter just because he gets so frustrated. And OKC, I do think very quietly, as we were freaking out about what was going on and is this team cooked and they lose the 3 games to the San Antonio Spurs, very quietly, this team has won 6 straight and 9 out of their last 10 and is right back to their dominant form. And I think they're going to be perfectly fine. But this is an interesting stretch for them. They get Boston here today. They get Minnesota on Saturday. So 2 big boys here. Minnesota, by the way, thanks for showing up yesterday, huh? Got smoked by who?
Who?
The Clippers. Come on. Oh. What are we doing? I think if I'm asking you that question, you know what it is.
I mean, it could be. I mean, obviously it wasn't yesterday, but it could be.
Was
it
not yesterday? Holy smokes, you're right.
It
wasn't yesterday. Wow, time flies.
The Lakers Bulls, I got to ask you about it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was talking about the Hornets.
I was going to say, it was yesterday. Yeah, what are we talking about? Yeah, you're tripping me out here. 153 points. Come on now.
But I was saying, when you tee up like that, it could be against anybody. But I don't know. Sorry, I will be honest with you.
You weren't paying attention.
I was watching college basketball yesterday.
See, I wanted it. Well, this too. You're watching college basketball right now. I wanted to focus on this. By the way, 27-23 Wisconsin up on top of Washington. 440.
I have to ask you about the Lakers today.
Okay, go. Shoot.
Laying 11.5 against a bad team in the Chicago Bulls.
Luka Doncic hasn't seen his kid since December.
Bulls have won a couple of games now. They've been chippy, but this is the whole facing a bad team thing.
It is, and I would expect that they would be able to get it done here.
Okay. I mean, you don't think that number might be a little too big?
It might be, but this team we have seen it time and again. First off, for both teams, I know that you wanted to fade this Bulls team down the stretch. They had some plucky moments as well. But this Lakers group, as we know, they have absolutely dominated bottom 10 net rating teams. That is exactly what the Chicago Bulls are. Market agrees to, not extremely, but still 10.5 the open. Some spots are 11.5 here. Total's been bet up too. We saw an opener overnight of 229.5 or up to 238.5. I would expect the Lakers, maybe if you want to go first half, it's a little inflated on the first half number, considering they might blow them out and then have to sit some guys. You're still talking about 6.5, 7 for the first half number, so maybe the Lakers come out hot. But this is the matchup in which they thrive. Yeah. When there's no stakes, when there's nothing on the line, because they're a franchise and a team of front runners and losers, they're going to go out there and beat up on some bad guys, or it should be some bad teams.
They are on a nice little run here. One and covered 6 of the last 7, including 3 straight, handling their business at home. So we'll see if they can cover the big spread again here, 11.5 again. That number, and this is one of the legs in my money line parlay today that I'm sure I'm not alone on the network in doing that today. It's been a fun little angle.
There's 5 legs for even money is so funny. I mean, I think you're right in doing it, but it is a funny thing to say.
Also, real quickly, as we talk about the Bulls being chippy, their most recent game, an overtime win against the Golden State Warriors, and we did get the news last night. Steph Curry set to miss at least 6 more games with that lingering knee injury. He'll be reevaluated again in a week and a half.
So I think this. So here's the thing that you look at, and actually, you know what? I should probably look this up before I state this. I think our play-in is set at this point right now in the Western Conference. Don't you? I mean, you look at where we're at. The bottom teams are not getting in. The Portland Trailblazers have a 7-game lead over the Memphis Grizzlies for that 10th seed and the final seed in the play-in. So we feel relatively comfortable that nobody is breaking in from the bottom here at this point. When you look at the Western Conference, at the top of the play-in right now, you have the Phoenix Suns. They are 1.5 games back from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Timberwolves have lost 3 straight. They can't get their ish together. So maybe they slip, but I think they are good enough to not do that, even though it is only a 1.5 game lead. So the reason why I bring this up is, you can parlay these teams to make the play-in. So the Phoenix Suns, and that's the thing is you have to have the options, because right now the only options available to you are, at least over at DraftKings, are the Suns, Timberwolves, Lakers, Rockets, Nuggets. 4 of those 5 teams are not going to fall in, I believe, into the play-in. So keep an eye out and see if maybe some of these markets expand. But I think we feel pretty confident right now that our play-in is set, which kind of sucks because I did have the Lakers at 2-1 to make the play-in, or to participate in the play-in. To make sounds like you're trying to achieve it, but you're not.
We'll have best bets at the end of the hour.
Okay.
I also have an NHL preview for the day that we can get to, but with us talking all this college basketball, it is a good reminder as well with conference tournaments underway. Our Hoops Mania special is also underway here at the network, where you can get VSiN Pro access to everything we do through May 1st for just $29.99. You get the daily best bets from all of our hosts and guests, real-time bet splits from DraftKings and Circa, AI-powered prop tools, matchup analysis, 24/7 video, and full show replays as well on the VSiN Watch app. Plus, the March Mania betting guide when it drops, going to be packed with team profiles for every tournament team. You'll have key betting trends for each round, bracket and future strategies, and more. So if you're betting championship week, you're betting the NCAA tournament, this is the edge you want. Sign up today. VSiN.com/subscribe is how you can come join us on that full-time basis. Again, that's VSIN.com/subscribe. And when you're a subscriber, again, that tournament breakdown you'll get for free as a part of it. And that's not the only guide. All of our guides, as they come throughout the course of the year, are part of that as well. We got to step aside. Excited to have our good buddy Jensen Lewis on the program next. Talk through some plays and thoughts he might have in the WBC. And the dude is locked and loaded with college basketball as well. We'll be right back.
You better be.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We are back. Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Lots of college basketball conference hoops action on now and throughout the day. It's fun to see the energy here at the book, Circa Sportsbook, largest sports book in the world, and people are showing out for all of these games. Excited to have our good friend Jensen Lewis with us here on the Progressive Guest Line as well, co-host of VSiN by the Books, former MLB pitcher. You can follow him on X at JLou50. And I know we're going to talk some college hoops. You do have some plays coming up later on in the day, but coming off of yesterday and knowing your background in baseball, how much was your household, and I guess you feel the collective sigh of relief around the country, that Italy was able to do what they did yesterday against Mexico?
Yeah, my better half is Sicilian Italian, so we channeled that little mojo, and off the schneid is Team USA, no question about it, Stormy. I think it's one of those unique situations, too, where you see that roster, and even before the tournament, they may not have gotten the credit that they deserve for the big league guys, and particularly with what Vinny Pasquantino, Jack Caglione. That is a real formidable middle, not only for Team Italy, but we'll see it a lot with the Kansas City Royals Royals this year. So credit where it's due. Appreciate Aaron Nola having a linguini arm that all of a sudden stiffened when the Americans needed him the most. And here we go. You back in, but a win is a win, and we cannot wait to see what happens tomorrow night against Team Canada.
Did you believe DeRosa that he knew?
Oh man, JVT, I've seen some press conferences in my life where a guy would walk off and be like, "What do you mean? What do you mean we weren't in?" I don't know how the quality control doesn't get to him and say, hey, what's going on, man? Why are you having this starting lineup? When I saw the starting lineup for that final game, I'm like, okay, maybe this was some of the GMs calling and wanting to get guys some ABs, but, maybe you get them out of there. And if the game's on the line, let's not wait too long. I think it really hit when we saw Clayton Kershaw warming, and then all of a sudden Mason Miller was rapid fire. You just don't see that, obviously, this early in the season. So kind of a ridiculous finish there. They almost had it come all the way back, but just thrilled that they got through and excited to see what Logan Webb can do in his second start tomorrow night.
Yeah, my goodness. It was just one of those things that could have been historically bad had they not ultimately been able to get into the quarterfinals. But they do, and as you said, they're facing Canada coming up on Friday. They're a huge favorite in that game. I don't see the run line out yet, but minus 800. They'll face the winner of the Dominican Republic and Korea, the DR minus 750. So that is the expectation of who they're going to face. When you think about the championship odds, though, for the WBC, USA obviously is a favorite at plus 140. Do you still have faith in them, or where else on the board might you be interested in looking?
Yeah, before the tournament, Stormy, I looked toward the other side there. Venezuela at 9-1. The Dominican, I think, was upwards of 4.5 to 1, somewhere in that realm. And I got to say, watching the Dominicans lineup, it is about as scary as it gets. And they probably could have had a couple of other guys that were not with them due to injuries and insurance purposes. So to think what they've already done, not only with the offensive performance, but the depth of their arm talent, I think is really well equipped to be able to not only find their way through, but should it be the United States and the Dominican Republic in the final, I would make the DR perhaps a small little favorite, depending on who that starting pitcher might end up being for Team USA. So Japan's going to be formidable. They usually are. Very sound, very fundamental. They're not going to beat themselves. And I'm intrigued to see what Ranger Suarez does. He's going to get the ball for Venezuela, a guy that is no stranger to the big moments and big starts. He'll be ready. He'll have the great heartbeat. Anxious to see what he does against the left-handed power bats from Japan.
We're going to hit a little bit more, but if I remember correctly, was it Toledo Bowling Green you were sweating out?
What'd you have?
We needed 152.5 under, and I don't know if we're going to get there. So I'm seeing, is it
77-74 with 10 seconds left. So you're going to get the foul game there. I apologize. I didn't mean to bring that up. I thought there was going to be something better there.
It's coming down to the wire, though. It's a 1.5 point spread game.
We'll get your college basketball thoughts really quickly today before we move to college basketball. We did talk about the Astros. We did talk about the Orioles. I think two teams heading in the opposite directions. Orioles seem like a team that could go over their win total, compete for a title, and I think the Astros are on the way down. Would you agree?
I think so. And JBT, I'll start with the Astros. I was hosting with Mike Stanton last week on Illinois Network Radio, and he has been covering the Astros for the better part of 2 decades. And, it begins with kind of where they were injury-wise last year, and still, guys, we're just, 3 games out of the top spot and had a chance head-to-head with the Mariners for the division title at the end of the season. I think what concerns me the most is that it's Hunter Brown at the top, and then what without Framber Valdez now? And you really are banking on the health and depth of a rotation that has not seen it go their way positively in that department for the better part of the last 2 to 3 years. So what can Christian Javier give you? What can Tatsuya Imai, who just came over, and how does he acclimate to the big leagues? Lance McCullers Jr., if this is it for him, I don't know how many more breaking balls he can throw with that surgically repaired arm. I do actually like, if you're looking for kind of a diamond in the rough in their rotation, Mike Burrows in that 3-team trade coming over from the Pittsburgh Pirates, there is a lot of buzz about his progression towards the end of last year in Pittsburgh, and maybe as an innings eater, what he might be able to bring over to Houston to be able to turn this rotation back over to the top. So I just think it's the lack of depth and the unknown of the health in the rotation, and already getting news this week, and I'm sure you guys talked about it, Josh Hader will begin this season on the injured list, so that means everyone steps back a rung there, and Brian Abreu will get those closing opportunities to start. It sounds like Jeremy Payne, you guys, from people I've talked to, it should not be missing a lot of time, if any. The hope is that he will be there for opening day, and kind of the irony of the World Baseball Classic discussion, guys, I think there's a lot of people in the Houston front office that actually felt fortunate that he had the fracture on his right hand. He wouldn't be able to go play. So it sounds like the timetable will be good for him. If he misses time, it will not be a lot of time whatsoever.
Former MLB pitcher Jensen Lewis also hosts VSiN by the Books here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, every weekday morning, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay, let's get into some of the college hoops plays here later on this evening. Where were you looking? Any conferences in particular that you've been really dialed in on? Talk us through it.
Yeah, dialed in on trying to dig out of a huge hole, guys. It has been an awful. This is what I had success with when I tried to get Kevin Youkilis out in my big league days. I had no answer for him whatsoever. He absolutely owned me, and this is what the hardwood has done. So I think it might just be the pitcher in me, guys. I'm going to go back to the underwell here and go back to the Big 12. And look at BYU and Houston. Of course, kind of the DNA there of the Cougars. I played under 147.5 and kind of hoping that, even BYU taking care of West Virginia yesterday quite handily, perhaps a little fatigued, and maybe Houston can lock it down early and not go on a run themselves. I should have probably taken some of my own medicine right in the backyard here, guys, in Northeast Ohio. The MAC tournament underway today. Of course, the story of the early window with the Red Hawks of Miami of Ohio falling for the first time this year. It usually is a track meet. I should have just played the over and understood what would happen here. But I'm going to look at Buffalo and Akron and play an under 161.5 there. I know pace-wise, it's an Akron team that I think a lot of people feel, even with Miami of Ohio being undefeated headed in, was the team to beat in this tournament, and now they certainly are with Miami losing. So 2 unders there I'm targeting, and hopefully I can get a third in here in one of the first plays I made today, Northwestern and Purdue. And kind of weird to see Purdue in this point where they just really fell over themselves in the back part of that regular season. Last couple of weeks haven't been good. Will they be supremely motivated to kind of not only feel good about themselves, but try and improve that seeding line? So I played the under 145.5. I know it's gone down drastically since then. So we'll hope for the passage of time, as Captain Dave Ross would say, and get a couple of unders in pocket there.
You got any futures that are alive?
I had on Vanderbilt early in the year, guys. I played them at 40-1 to win it all. I'm anxious, honestly, JVT, and kind of your thoughts. If they in the upper echelon there of the SEC, and we'll see them in action tomorrow down at Bridgestone for the SEC tournament. The guard play, I think, is going to be okay for them. I just wonder depth-wise if they've got enough to hang. If they don't get a solid draw, and I'm going to guess they'd be a 5 seed barring something unforeseen, I think they need a little bit of luck to go their way, but I could see them getting to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I would agree. I just got a text. I'm sorry I got distracted. Our producer, Justin, we have 60 seconds with you. I was told, ask him about pitching Game 3 of the American League Divisional Series against the Yankees.
In your DeRosa question, did he know? That's the one applicable thing in real life for me. I was warming up in that game to come in the bottom of the 8th inning. I usually would ask my bullpen coach the 3 hitters I would start the inning with. I don't know if I didn't register or I didn't hear him or I just didn't ask. But after I got done warming up, I looked back around and Derek Jeter's walk-up song, I Run New York, was playing. And I'm like, oh bleep, here we go. And it was Derek Jeter, Bobby Abreu, and Alex Rodriguez. And at that point, the adrenaline kicked in. We punched out the side, and that was it. That ended up being the best inning of my life.
Nice.
That's not stressful at all. That's awesome. Jensen, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. We'll see you back here next week.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, dude.
Jensen Lewis, everybody. Again, VSiN by the Books each and every weekday morning here on the network, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll be right back. Best bets on deck to round out this Thursday edition of the program. fun NHL card today after just 2 games on the slate yesterday. We've got 14 today. That said, before we get into it real quickly, lots of scores to update you on around college hoops.
Yeah, of course, conference tournament action underway. We have some top 25 action as well, so let's get started. Halftime, Wisconsin taking on Washington, up 43-33 at the break over the Huskies. This was one of the questions with the bye. Maybe hit the brakes on Wisconsin here in this spot. Not so far as they lead by 10. UCF getting, I know you love this, curb stomped by Arizona right now, 32-8.
Pains me.
7:56 left to go in the first. Absolute slaughter so far. We got a tight one in the ACC. 38-35 Louisville up on top with 132 left to go in the first. Also, with about 3:55 left to go in the first, UNLV trailing Utah State 26-21. Last but not least, three of them actually. Alabama A&M and Texas Southern both tied 51 apiece. 7:39 left to go in the second. St. Bonaventure in a 1-point deficit to George Mason with 18 left to go. 8:18, excuse me. In the second half, and just getting started about 5 minutes into the second half, Creighton has taken a 40-37 lead over Seton Hall. They have outscored the Pirates 14-4 here in the second half of play.
After the Pirates had a nice lead at halftime, and as someone who laid 2.5, not thrilled with that particular update with the way the Creighton's come out here since the halftime break. Okay, let's get into the NHL. Game of the night, without question, in the Western Conference tonight. Oilers at Stars could be a potential Western Conference Finals preview. This is the matchup we've seen each of the last 2 years. Edmonton getting the better of Dallas, obviously, in each of those sets. Yet, Dallas has been the better team throughout the course of the regular season. Historically, between these two, 6-1-1 their last 8 in the regular season, including 2 high-scoring wins this season. Dallas won in a 4-3 shootout game 1 in Dallas back in November, and 8-3 a couple weeks later after that one in Edmonton. And that kind of leads me to my angle, at least, on this game with another high-scoring affair potentially on deck. What? Why are you smiling?
Oh, no, I'm watching basketball. I apologize.
Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah, Utah State. He's very
foul.
Frustrated with UNLV
Very
already early
foul. Yeah.
in a 5-point game, still 3.5 minutes to go there in the first half. But my thought process on this game is I like an over in this one, over 6.5. I like both teams to score in the first period as well, plus 130. But looking at some of the metrics for both of these teams, Edmonton, top power play in the league, have 8 more power play goals than the next closest team, second in the league in goals 4 per game, as well as second in scoring chances behind only the Colorado Avalanche. But look at some of the defensive stuff in the goaltending, 29th in team save percentage, 27th in goals allowed per game, 23rd in scoring chances that are given up the second most goals from the slot this season as well. The only team that's been worse at that this year has been Vancouver, who is literally the worst team in the NHL this season. Penalty kills, not good either, 26th in the league, giving up 14 power play goals their last 13 games. Meanwhile, you look at a team like Dallas, who is more defensively, structurally sound, but they can score as well. And they came off, so what was the score against Vegas? 2-1, I think?
Something like that.
So it's a 2-1 game. They're coming off a very low-scoring game.
Sure.
But I think it was 4 straight prior to that, all had 7+ goals. They've had a lot of high-scoring games as well. So they can score. Yes, they defend better, but I think Edmonton has the offensive capabilities to get through that, obviously, like we've seen time and time again. So those are kind of the angles. The first period stuff that I mentioned, I was looking at just an over 1.5 for the first period, but it's juiced to all hell at like minus 166. But the both teams to score angle at plus money, I thought could be worthwhile. The over on that 6.5 is a little bit juicy still. Minus 125, minus 130 in that range, but I think it's worthwhile. A couple other games I did get involved with tonight as well. The Ducks and Maple Leafs, as well as the Blue Jackets and Panthers. Looking at this Florida team, we've had success fading them largely since the break. Brad Marchand, we know, shut it down for the season. Sam Reinhart's injured. Still no Barkov. They dropped 4 of their last 5 games, including a 4-2 loss to the Jackets. So playing them on the money line today, thinking they can get it done again. Finish the sweep of the Sunshine State, coming off a big win against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't think that there's a risk of a letdown, kind of like we see in a lot of these college basketball tournaments. So going that angle, and then with Anaheim, I think they keep it going on the road here. 6-2-0 since the Olympic break. 15-4-0 going back to January 13th. Won by margin at Winnipeg on Tuesday. Cross-country travel, I guess, is a concern, but this is a very limping Leafs team, to put it kindly. Haven't won a single game since coming back from the break. 8 straight losses, including 3 in a row, and 6 of 8 that have been puck line losses. So I haven't thought about maybe an Anaheim puck line. Didn't get there ultimately. Short money line, though, minus 110 on both them and the Blue Jackets. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the money line parlay we're doing with the NBA, the Suns, Magic, Hawks, and Lakers, just fading all of the bad teams, essentially.
I like it. I'm not going to play it, but I like it.
All right, just having a little fun here. What do you have today?
Mountain West, one play tonight. It's going to be a total game we haven't really hit on here. Nevada Grand Canyon are going to go under 137.5. These two teams met in the regular season. It was a 66-60 final, if I remember correctly, in overtime. These are two slower-paced teams, two of the better defensive teams in the Mountain West. Grand Canyon led the league in defensive efficiency, gave up less than a point per possession. I think we're going to get a pretty low-scoring, walk-it-up type of affair here that's going to be a grinder. I think these two teams are very closely matched to one another, especially when it comes to their ability on defense. Don't like a side, but do think that this thing's going to stay under the total. Some spots open 138.5. We're down to 137.5. A couple of 136.5s popping up, so we'll go under 137.5 tonight between Nevada and Grand Canyon. 2-1 yesterday, by the way. We talked about that.
That's what I was going to say. For record-keeping purposes, if you want to show how we did yesterday, you want to throw that up for JVT?
Sure. What did I do? Oh, yeah, the UNLV game yesterday. What was the other one? Oh, the Clippers.
That was only
yes,
college
you
basketball,
threw me off.
Yes, the
Clippers
and
did play yesterday, and the Rockets plus 7.5. Nothing. Absolutely smoked yesterday.
Yeah, I was on UNLV as well. That one came home. The 60-minute line on Ottawa, however, did not. Montreal ended up winning in regulation 3-2, so that was a little bit of a bummer. And I'll say a bummer for Ottawa, too, who's trying to make a push to see if they can get into the postseason. Not ideal there.
Later tonight.
What's that?
We're still alive. They got one win. TCU in Kansas. Got this long shot. Mitch and I talked about this on the pod this week, too. TCU 90-1 to win the Big 12 tournament. See if they can get over Kansas. I am very excited to see what this brings. 6:30 p.m.
I would like to get your breakdown of a game that will be tipping off 30 minutes prior to that you and I will both be in the building for.
No, we need your now. You're wearing the shirt.
San Diego State and Colorado State. I'm too in it. And you know what happened the last time San Diego State played CSU.
Yep.
Did not like the result. So the Aztecs are laying 5.5. Total 142.5. Can they not only win in advance but cover that number against this Rams team?
I mean, I lean a little bit towards San Diego State, but the last time they played...
I'm assuming you say no because you have the 25-1 on them to win the tournament.
No, I mean, obviously I do think they can beat them, but, I mean, the problem is the last time that this matchup happened, I believed that San Diego State was in a pretty good bounce back. They were going out on the road.
Yeah.
They had lost, what was it, I'm looking at Colorado State here. San Diego State had lost that game to Grand Canyon, and so you think, all right, well, you're going on the road, but at least it's a little bit of a bounce back for a San Diego State team that's been playing pretty well defensively. Maybe they can get this done. And Colorado State, they did not. And that's part of a stretch where they had lost 4 out of 5 before they beat UNLV. But it speaks to the nature of this conference. San Diego State has lost 4 of their last 6 games. 2 wins have been Utah State and then UNLV. You have no idea what you're going to get on a day-to-day basis. And Colorado State, playing their best basketball season long, winning 8 straight, goes into Boise State game at home, and they lose 78-67. I think one of the things that Colorado State will run into here is they're not a great rebounding team. They've been pretty poor on defense. They play pretty slow. They take a lot of threes, so maybe that's going to help them out, ratchet the variance up, hit some threes, and maybe you can stay inside of this number and win this game. It's part of the reason why I like them to win the tournament.
Yeah.
Let's go back a couple of years ago. Oakland plays Kentucky in the first round of the NCAA tournament. One of the reasons why, it's just a very good example of it, you like teams that play slow but take a ton of threes because they ratchet up what's going to be some variance and maybe make the game a little bit more wild than you expect. And I think that's something Colorado State can do, obviously, in a neutral court setting here at the Thomas & Mack. So I do think San Diego State, situationally, is probably looking out for revenge. I mean, look what's happening with Utah State and UNLV right now. But I do believe, as we have talked about, in this Rams team, and I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, like you talked about, the way that San Diego State kind of stumbled into the tournament, Colorado State winning 9 of 10, feeling pretty confident as they get to this point, too. So I'm curious to see what it looks like. Obviously, as we were talking about a little bit earlier from a bubble standpoint, very important games, not only for San Diego State, but New Mexico as well coming up in the nightcap.
What do we do? Do you lay it?
15.5 against San Jose State, who I think we all were pretty stunned to see win yesterday against Boise.
Does it remind you of, what was it yesterday, Arizona State? Arizona State gets
then, obvious letdown.
Yeah, gets
Why
the win.
Didn't we lay it? Yep.
Lets it down, and then all of a sudden you're watching a team just get its face caved in here because they got the big win the last time out, and now you face a New Mexico team that is looking forward to potentially getting to the NCAA tournament. I mean, not like this would be a resume builder, but winning a couple of games and potentially either getting in as not large or, of course, winning the tournament itself, which they're perfectly capable of. So markets bet them up too, right? Do you have the screen in front of you? I think this is open 13.5, 14.5, if I remember correctly. So I do think that this is going to be potentially an absolute beatdown here for New Mexico.
Opened 13.5, and we're at 15.5 now across the board. Total in that one, not a ton of movement, but slight tick toward the over to 155.5 from 154.5. Also, just because I didn't reference it in that CSU SDSU preview, the total down 3 points, 145.5 to 142.5 where I'm sitting right now. And some places still going down 142, 140. There's 141.5 out there in the market. So keep tabs on that as you go. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We hit on a ton of stuff. This is a fun 2 hours.
Let's go watch some hoops.
We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. And yes, now we are headed out to Thomas and Mack. Watch those games later on tonight. Should be a fun run throughout the course of the week. Keep it locked right here on VSiN. Follow the money coming up next with Mitch and Paul.